Alright, hello everyone. Panel discussions in the British parliamentary format can often become needlessly time-consuming, boring, and circular. And in reality, it is simply impossible to be as rigorous as you may want to be, because the activity of a panel discussion is to condense an entire hour of speech time into a 15-minute deliberation period to decide who won. And here, a lot of responsibility is placed on the chair to properly represent the panel and to facilitate a productive discussion. Remember, as a chair, you're not inherently or morally superior to your panelists. In the end, you all get the same vote. Instead, as a chair, you are entrusted with the responsibility to best mediate, quiz, interrogate, critically inquire, and bring out the best from your panel. So here are a few tips to do just that. First, avoid asking for individual summaries and focus instantly on a team-to-team comparison. So if you are going to ask for your panel to summarize the closing government case, then you might as well already ask them to compare it against their opening government so that you can identify what their specific extension was. If you want to ask why a certain panelist thought that opening government's model or contextualization or framing was so powerful in the debate, then ask them to compare it against opening opposition's attempt to do so as well. This habit is very productive because you are simply talking about two teams at a time rather than talking about teams in a vacuum, which doesn't really help the discussion. Second, a panel discussion cannot feasibly talk about everything in a round. So you, as the chair, should manage the discussion by stating the agenda. What were the most important contention points that will decide each team against one another? So you don't need to go through every structural reason, because individually as judges, you've already heard everything and you've taken note of everything. You just need to immediately go into which specific parts of the analysis were the most persuasive and which were most critical for a particular issue. For example, if opening government and opening opposition gave so much material on a certain characterization deadlock, it's quite okay to immediately narrow down on this contention by saying to your panel, okay, so PM provides this preemptive material on the context, LO and DLO repeat this response on X to this specific material. And so as a panel, I want to ask you, do we think that this particular response is persuasive? And do you think that this is sufficient for them to win over this other team? Framing the discussion in this particular way makes panel discussions very concrete, rather than just asking, oh, I thought opening government beat opening opposition for XYZ reasons. Do you agree with this? Which is most definitely vague. Lastly, an advanced tip I would give for chairs is that you want to keep your panel discussion consistent by religiously referencing previous comparisons as you proceed with each pairwise comparison. So I know this sounds tedious as I say it, but this only really means a very simple addition to the way you phrase your questions. So for example, instead of just asking if closing government's response was effective against opening opposition, you might want to say instead, okay, so a while ago we credited opening government's response against opening opposition because of this reason. Closing government provides a slightly more nuanced response when they say this, and I want to know your thoughts on how we should credit this as part of their extension. So what are your thoughts? This habit is important because you want to make sure that you are not forgetting the reasons why certain teams were effective in the first place. These standards should be consistently applied all the time. The same skepticism, similar issues, and relatively similar burdens. This is how you deepen a panel discussion without going too much into the weeds. Alright, that's it for today's video. Thank you and have a great day.